Welcome, everybody, to the Training Partners podcast. I'm your co-host, one of your hosts.
Yeah, co-host.
Co-host, Sean Rigsby.
And I'm the other co-host, Chris Yandel.
Chris Yandel, who was recently let go from the Coffee with Kane podcast, and we needed to give him something to do. So welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be on a real show. Coffee with Kane had a great run. It was a serious podcast. We touched on a lot of good topics over about 50 episodes.
50 episodes?
Yeah, I think we're 50 plus. We had more episodes than listeners.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, hopefully that other host of that podcast can keep it going. You know, I know he does a lot of planning and logistical work to make that podcast possible. He definitely knows how to record and publish all of them.
Yeah, he did the legwork. I showed up to bring the value. He
bring the value.
Yeah, it was Coffee with Kane, but we just let him have the name. But people came from me.
Yeah, so as you guys can tell, this will be a much more serious podcast with serious listeners and information. But really, it's something we've talked about doing for a long time. We've put it off for I don't know how long. We just finally sat down and said, hey, we're going to do this. And maybe we're going to have a lot of mistakes in this first episode. I don't really care. You learn by doing, and you need to get over it. So here's how this podcast is kind of going to work. Chris and I will kind of be the anchor hosts, but we definitely have other people in our organization that will be working with us and, you know, maybe stepping in for us or hosting alongside us in the future. So a little bit of a varied cast instead of just the same two boring guys all the time.
I'm not boring, but yeah.
Okay.
There will be other people here you get to learn, meet, and maybe people you've never even heard of get to learn about them and what they know and spread their knowledge.
That's true. And as it says, it is about training. It is a training podcast. We're training partners. Chris and I are training partners in a way. You're way better at the training part than I am right now, so good job, Chris.
Thank you. Well, I mean, in the sport that we both compete in, you ranked higher amongst your age group and weight class. So even though I train more, you still outperformed.
I'm still better?
You're still better.
Okay. Well, maybe I should do your sport, and then that'll probably go way worse. It'll go way worse for me. That's all right. So yeah, that's how we envision things gonna kind of unfolding, and then kind of theming each episode. We know we like to cover a lot of different topics about training, about fitness, about weightlifting and sport performance, doing a little bit of news segment, just all encompassing, you know, what that looks like. So we imagine different episodes with different themes as we progress over time, and then we know a lot of really smart people that we'd like to talk to and that might be interesting to you. So occasionally hosting some interviews as well. So welcome to Training Partners. Strap in. We're going to start today kind of doing a mix of everything instead of one specific theme before we get into theming out our episodes. So first up, Chris is going to tell us a little bit more about HYROX. Maybe you don't know about it, and you'll get to learn a little bit more. What's up in the HYROX world, Chris?
That's actually, I like the way you worded that, because if there's a lot of weightlifters listening to it, they may just assume it's CrossFit Light.
They'd be wrong.
They'd be wrong. So HYROX briefly is an endurance race. It is always the same, so you know what the test is. The test is 8 rounds of a 1,000-meter run, followed by 8 different stations. You have a 1K ski, sled push, sled pull, burpee broad jumps, row, farmer's carry, sandbag lunge, and then you finish with 100 wall balls.
Yeah, it's basically they took all like the really skillful pieces of CrossFit, threw them out, removed any lifting, and added more cardio.
So I can't argue with that. When people ask me what the difference is, I will say it's more accessible, and they even say that it's an accessible way to compete. It's easier because there's no skill involved, but I also like that personally better as a test because you're never going to get beat because you don't have a skill. You're going to get beat because you're just not good enough.
Yeah, that's totally true. I mean, there's no barrier to entry or way lower barrier to entry. And then, the people who win, like the best HYROX, McIntyre, was that the name?
I think Hunter McIntyre does hold the world record.
Yeah, like he's just a aerobic beast, really. He just has an incredible engine. So they're very, very fit. It's really cool. If people like who did like Spartan races or something like that, we see a lot of like obstacle course racing, people crossing over and doing this instead. So it's just like with fitness stations instead of like physical obstacle stations. And what's kind of nice is that it's the same everywhere you go. Like it's standardized. You might be running in a different city, and you could talk about that a little bit more because you've been to several of them, but the event is literally the same standards wherever you go. And so yeah, it's always the same race.
Yeah, so what they say is when they set up, usually it's in a convention center. New York was outdoors, Berlin was outdoors, which are cool venues, but typically it isn't just in a convention center. When they measure out the course, they do their best to make sure, even though the setup is different, that the amount you run is the exact same. They do say it's the same. Sometimes it feels like a fast course, feels like a slow course, but the distance you run should be the exact same.
Us weightlifters would like that. We like everything the same, to the point of having probable mental conditions about it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I had a conversation on Reddit this week about how maybe I did say how soft weightlifters are, because like if there's anything out of the ordinary, it throws them off their game.
Definitely in the current generation of weightlifters, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big issue. But anyway, what's going on with? So that's what the HYROX is and what it's about. What's going on in that HYROX world right now?
Yeah, so actually at this moment they are in Chicago for the World Championships. So this is the
wait, they are?
I am not there.
Why are you not there?
I was actually kind of close. So the process to qualify is actually changing for the next season. But each event they release a number. Say it's top 3 in each division get to move on or qualify for Worlds. And if you finish in the top 3, you can accept that offer. Let's say number 1 has already accepted an offer, then it would go 2, 3, and 4, get that invite. I just completed HYROX New York with Audra. We did doubles, and in our age group, we got 26th out of, I don't know the exact number, but it was like top 2%.
Yeah, it was like, I think you said it was like out of 1,600 or something.
Yeah,
like that,
that's overall was 42nd out of 1,600.
Okay, that's still really good.
Yeah, I'm still insanely happy about that, proud of that. So like 20 places, 25 places off of qualifying is not that far off. So I was very happy with that. But yes, they are in Chicago right now competing. It starts today and goes all the way through Sunday, doing all the different divisions. What is changing about the qualification period, our process, is you used to be able to do it with the open weights. So moving forward, it's only the pro weights. So the 5 weighted stations, you have to qualify using those weights.
Oh, I love that. I mean, anything that's heavier, I'm going to love.
Yes.
I think it's really important. Like, to me, like, this is an obnoxious non-endurance athlete speaking, but like nothing in HYROX is heavy. In my opinion, not a single thing, and I know the sled probably feels terrible when you're tired. Like,
yes.
like absolutely. Like I will, if I felt that tired, pulling that sled would probably feel like 1,000,000 pounds. But we have some HYROX athletes who even are just struggling with like the wall balls, not just the range of motion, but the weight of the wall ball, and like that is not a strength exercise at all. That is a conditioning exercise. So
yeah, I think there's a lot you see with that. Runners in particular, they're known for not doing enough strength training. And they're going to be tight. Their hips are going to be tight. So getting into a full depth squat, they struggle with. And then add on to that, they're wearing running shoes with big cushions and high heels. They're just not squatting very well. So that's something we emphasize here, try to get better at so that doesn't happen. Last thing you want to do after an hour and a half of racing is have to do 150 wall balls because the judge is telling you you're not going low enough.
Probably the only HYROX gym in America with a dedicated strength progression.
I think that's probably true. Like, there's very few HYROX specific gyms that are using barbells 4 to 5 days a week.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely the only one, but not at the cost of training. Like, you still do a ton of running. You guys have Track Tuesday workouts where you're working on running technique and building your engine. So, I mean, strength like aerobic base is such a general quality that it spills into like everything else. So it's really important to have. But yeah, if you think the med ball at HYROX is heavy, that's a problem, and we need to help you get stronger.
Yes,
so
yes.
come to Charlotte Strength.
Yes.
So shameless plug. But you want to talk about like y'all's performance specifically in New York? Like, I know that you're placing, but so how do you feel? How do you feel about like how you tackled each event or how you and Audra worked as a team? I think this was your second doubles that you've done, and now that you've done what is it, like 5 races?
Yep.
Yeah. Like, what? Reflect on like a year of competing and like how each different race went and where you feel like you're at, that you have a big goal of like trying to get as close as you can or into that world championship.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic. It was exactly 365 days from my first day race to my most recent race.
That's cool.
So I guess 364 because it was all within a year. But my first race in New York, solo, an hour, 20 plus minutes. I was fine with it, whatever, no idea what to expect. The average is like 130. Then I did Vegas and DC. I thought I'd get better than I did, but I did knock off about 4 minutes total off of that. Was still happy with it. And then I did my first doubles with Sarah, my wife, and she is not competitive. She's not a runner. It was just for fun, but we still got it done in an hour and a half. And then going into New York with Audra, this was my peak for the year. This was the race I was most excited for, that I trained the hardest for, and we ended in an hour and 3 minutes.
Yeah,
so
wow, big improvement.
Yeah, 14 minutes faster. Like, yes, I was able to share the stations, but I had to run at a faster pace than I ever did.
Yeah.
And I learned that I can run that fast, which was kind of cool to see, because usually I sit back. When they put you in this big corral before you start. There's like 30 to 50 of you, depending on the venue. They play this video. There's a girl in there getting you hype. It's a good time. They do a good job with it. But usually I just stay to the back, let everybody go. Well, me and Audrey are like, let's get to the front. Like, let's go. Let's push the pace.
Nice.
We found the people that look fast. Like, let's keep our eyes on them and try to stick with them. And, like, we went out hot. Like, our second 1K was 4:18. So we were cooking. We had to back it off just a little bit because that's a little faster than we should be going. But we averaged a 4:45 1K for the race.
Okay.
And so we're very happy with that. And what was really cool about it was at the stations, you got no break. I showed you a few times my heart rate during these races. It's
guys, like heart rate, you know, if you're familiar, there's zone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think if I remember right.
You don't go there very often, but
yeah,
yes.
I think there might be a couple other ways, but yeah, that's basically what you're at. And like traditional cardio kind of lives in like zone 3. I would say, like actually trying a cardio. We talk a lot about like zone 2 cardio, which is like very relaxed sort of pace. You get to zone 5 and you live there in a HYROX. It's got to be, from a heart rate perspective thing, legitimately one of the hardest things you can do, or at least the thing like longest time exposure in that zone that I can think of. Like, I don't even think that in a marathon, you know, probably elite performers live there. Like I would say that, but like most people in a marathon aren't spending that much time up at basically the highest intensity you can do. Your heart can sustain.
Yeah, like it factors in age and stuff like that. So I'm almost 40. So like for me, my peak heart rate is around 185 is kind of what I touch. And I'm usually averaging 176, 177 for these races. And so going into doubles, I was like, okay, I'm going to get breaks, you know, so my average is going to drop. Well, my average was still 172, and the only 2 breaks I got were during the ski and during the road, where we took longer breaks, where we got like 45 seconds to actually kind of bring our heart rate down for a very brief time. But what I learned was, like, I'm able to do that, able to maintain that pace and push a little harder, and I really enjoyed it. Like, finishing at that pace and that time was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys just pushed harder. It wasn't easier. Like, less work to do, so push harder, of course. And it really shows on your run. So you have been working, like, your biggest weakness, even though you're one of the best runners in the gym, is running. Yep. You feel like that your work has kind of come to fruition in that race. Yeah. You know, everything you've been doing. Like, I know you guys go to the track, but you've been working on this for months now. Talk about why you, other than like, there was a clear psychological effect, and it's probably helpful to have a partner, like, because you know we're very team first people here at Charlotte Strength.
Yep, it is our first core value.
So if we have other people that we've got to like deliver for, we probably bring it more than we do it ourselves. But do you think that what do you think helped, other than that maybe race speed thing? What helped you bring those runs down the most?
I think it would be hiring a running coach, because like yes, we are all coaches in here, but a lot of times I'm not able to jump into classes and follow the program that I write. So I hired a coach to like help me with my personal fitness goals. And also I do try to weightlift a little bit to try to merge those together. So I started actually following a running program where I'm doing interval work, where I'm doing long zone 2 runs, and then going to the track and doing those workouts. I think actually doing that versus just going to the run club and running without a purpose was a significant help.
Okay. So get a coach. If you're trying to get good at anything,
yes,
get a coach. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yep.
All right. So that's the end of the season.
Yep.
Like, so, because they're at the World Championship. So if you're a HYROXer or want to do a HYROX and you're not at the World Championships, you're in the off season.
Yep.
So here at Charlotte Strength and in the NotiFit program, you know, Chris designs an annual plan. Chris, do you want to talk about what people can look forward to, or if they don't go here, you know, maybe how should they be thinking about getting ready for the next season of HYROX events?
Yeah, we are definitely in our off season. We kicked it off a few weeks ago because Unfortunately, didn't have anybody qualify for Worlds this year, but that's definitely a goal of mine is to get somebody there if it's not myself. So our off season started a couple weeks ago, but what we've been working on is building strength and getting comfortable running, building that running base. So we're actually working on our 1 mile times right now. So they are still running 3 days a week. It's a shorter distance, just trying to work on some speed. And then also I'm trying to get them strong. So we back squatted last month, and now we're deadlifting. So we're building that base strength, and we are doing 1 day a week of specific the HYROX movements. Because it's going to get boring. B, you're going to limit it to how much you can progress if you're only doing those exact 8 movements every day. So instead of doing wall balls all the time, we're doing barbell thrusters, dumbbell thrusters, different variations. So we are factoring in foundational movements. We're doing some power output workouts. And then once a week, we're doing an engine builder where it's lightweight and they're moving for 45 minutes. We are, I want to say 18 weeks out from our next race.
Yeah, when's that?
It's actually November 15th and 16th. It's going to also be in Chicago. We're going back to Chicago.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so I'm trying to get my goal is 30 people to go to Chicago. I think 20 is realistic, but if we get 20 to 30 people going, it's going to be a really good time. 2 days of racing, and then spend an evening together going to have dinner, celebrate all our accomplishments. It's going to be fun. But when we're about 12 weeks out from that is when we'll start more of the specific movements. Those 8 movements that because we know the test. Like, we know what we're testing for. It'd be silly not to do those movements. So as we get closer, we'll be more specific when we get to it.
Okay. Awesome. And I know you guys always have it. I mean, I get to do this because I get to travel with our weightlifting team all year round, basically. How much fun it is to commit to that. So if you are like, just, hey, shout out member of the gym. If you are thinking about trying it for the first time, it doesn't have to be super intimidating. Mm-hmm. You can go in to do a doubles. You don't have to try to go a pro or anything like that. Yep. I know they have a lot of fun going on these trips. There's just something different. And I'll say this to like everybody that is trying to improve themselves. Putting something on the calendar, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a weightlifting meet, a HYROX, a marathon, powerlifting meet, whatever. Committing to an event like changes your training and makes it way more purposeful, because no one wants to look like an idiot on the day of. So there's that, but it also kind of defines your why. It's like, okay, well, this is the thing I've committed to, and I'm going to work to get it done. So you'll absolutely see your self-improvement pick up in whatever arena you want it to be when you commit and sign up for something and put it on a calendar. I think that's a whole different person, and I have a whole another level of respect for our people that sign up and commit. And that's why the banners in the gym, that we have banners for our weightlifting team in the gym for every event that we travel to, every major event, because there's something to that, to committing and saying, I'm going to travel, and all of the things you need to prepare for to undergo to perform well at that.
So you saying I need to order banners for my HYROX teams, the 3 events we've traveled to?
Sure, I guess you do.
I guess I need to do that.
Yeah,
but the individual accomplishments, those have to be, that's more than just committing to doing the thing. That is excelling at the thing.
Yeah, our individual banners, we've set a very, very high bar. In fact, because if I didn't, we would have no room, just to be honest.
Yeah,
it's like a logistical thing. Like, I've seen some gyms where they're like, you know, if they medal at an event or whatever, it's like, well, we have way too many, like, not being, there are 229 national, international medals, and other clubs have more. So, like, that's not, but we've been very blessed that our athletes have done very well. So if I put a banner up there for every time someone just medaled national event, we'd be in trouble. So ours is a national champion, regardless of their event. Basically, like, those are the people that get to go up there, or international team athletes if they make an international team representing their country. So very, very high standards. You have some CrossFit Open banners left up for Orlando, who was able to progress into quarterfinals.
And they've changed the name of it every year.
I know.
So whatever it's called.
It's so hard.
I can't keep up.
Yeah.
R.I.P. CrossFit.
R.I.p.
I still love it. It's still great. It's a great way to train.
Change our lives. This gym's here because of CrossFit.
100%. I will never talk bad about it, seriously.
Yeah. In fact, when we talk about it, it's because we know how much better it can be.
Yes.
You know, that's where it's coming from, a place of love and affection.
Yes.
Okay.
How about the
want to talk about Combine?
Let's talk about Combine. Let's talk about what we did last week. We celebrated our 5-year anniversary in this space.
Yep.
And how did we do that with some physical activity? I'll let you cover that.
Yeah, 5 years of Charlotte Strength. Our time as a gym is a lot longer than that, but you know, here when we entered into this building, we created Charlotte Strength in what it is today and the different programs that we have. So to celebrate that, because it's not just weightlifting, it's not just fitness, we wanted everybody to be able to participate from whatever program that we did. So we did a gym-wide combine. So like a combine like you might see in the NFL, a couple of tests we thought were interesting. These were mostly speed and power tests. So, it's kind of funny, like our weightlifters, they do train power, but they don't ever like run or do anything. Like they do have parts in their program when they're doing jumps and a couple other things, but there are no sprints in their program and no broad jumps for sure. And then on the NodeFit side, those explicit things aren't in there either, and it's very much like an endurance activity. So
like the shortest we run is like 200 meters, and so that's still very different than a 30-yard dash.
Yes, yeah. So it was kind of nice in a sense that we're testing things that like neither explicitly trains or should be very good at. So I think it was a little bit level playing field in that sense.
Now, this is just, I guess, as a teaser. Next year is Speed Lab program. Are they allowed to participate? Because that is literally what they're training.
Yeah, we might have to keep Speed Lab people out next year. It's a little bit of cheating because it's like they'll just be doing this all the time. But so the events that we had were we did a counter movement jump because we have force plates here at Charlotte Strength, so we're able to do a test of lower body power and just take any arms out of it. So it's great. We did a broad jump for distance. We did a 30-yard dash. We have 40 yards of turf, but to keep everybody safe and running as fast as possible, we shave 10 yards off because they don't train this way to try to keep any hamstring injuries at bay. We followed that up with a backwards med ball toss for distance, then a 5-10-5, the pro shuttle, and then finished with the bench press. Bench press for max reps. We set standards for male and female athletes, and then it was just a max reps test. And so people competed in those things, and just want to shout out the top dogs real quick. Our top male and female athletes. So Will Robbins showed up.
Will.
Yep, big back Will. Just crushed it. Absolutely smoked. I think he had the best med ball throw, and then he had the best pro agility shuttle under controversy.
There's a little controversy on his 4.35. So he is a long individual. And he really reached for the cone, but me being the judge, I'm at the center mark, so I can't actually, my angle I couldn't see. It appeared like it was very close to being short of it. I questioned him. He is a man of integrity.
He is a man of integrity.
So I do not doubt what he says. He said he got across the line, so I trust he got across the line. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm going through the events right now. He also had the second longest broad jump. It's a tall boy game.
Yeah, I think we discussed that when we were reviewing how the combine went, is that we determined 3 of the 6 events were really beneficial to be tall.
Definitely.
And I think after one event, it was beneficial to be short and stocky. Bench press.
And that is the only event he did not, I was just going through it, didn't place top 5 in.
Yeah, so
top 5 in every event. So, I mean, he's the best.
Yeah, he deserves a win. We're not doubting his win.
No one else did that. He even, he's tied for second here on counter movement jump, which takes height out of it.
Correct.
So very, very impressive performance by Will. But yeah, we did notice it was kind of the degree to which he won on the tall boy events was just so significant compared to the other ones.
It was more of we were just looking for next year to be prepared to hey, do we need to make adjustments because we want this to be as fair as possible. Again, we do not think it was unfair. Will, you won and you earned it.
And then next on our female side, a masters athlete, Katie Positai, won the combine with first of all, we didn't think anybody was going to beat Ashley. Great job on her bench reps. We were like, there's no way anybody's going to beat this.
Yeah, I'm sitting there spotting both of them, and I'm like, all right, they got 10. I remember when they're going to get tired. 20 reps later, they're still going. It was insane. Really
impressive. So Katie actually came and took that, and then placed. I think Will, I'm checking right now to make sure, is top 5. I'm not quite as good as Will. So top 5 in all but 2 events.
Okay,
is how she placed. So very, very well done to Katie and Will. Will only won by 1 point, so that was a really close.
That was a tight race.
Yeah, very tight.
People surprised us.
Yeah, definitely.
Gustavo with he's fast.
Yeah, shout out to Gus. I mean, he had tied with Will for the counter movement jump. He had one of our fastest, I think our second fastest 30 time.
Yeah, because it was
that day.
Him, and then I know Nico was right after him.
Yeah, it was super high. So for a larger athlete and a weightlifting athlete,
right?
Really, really impressive. So great job, guys.
Yeah.
It was really awesome to see. I was really encouraged by how many people showed up and participated in our anniversary combine and make it special.
Yeah, because we had we had 3 heats of 12, and we kind of overfilled them. We ended up with almost 40 individuals who did this, and this is something that they don't train for, something we don't do. And we're all in kind of an off season right now, but they're all willing to sacrifice a day of their typical training to do this fun event, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, I'll say I guess heavy metal did do very well on the scoring as a team. I guess we're a little biased in that they got some prep for it, whereas No to Fit kind of jumped in. You didn't have the same, because you guys are focusing on longer endurance events and whatnot. In the heavy metal training plan, these events are in there, and also in the pillar training plan.
Yeah.
The pillar athletes, that's our general strength and conditioning program. We're preparing for this combine, but it's also part of our approach at heavy metal, like for our weightlifting team, whether you're on the national team, on the club team, or on the masters team. Each annual plan has an off-season programmed into it, around the major events. So these athletes aren't preparing for national championships like our national team is. So they're in the middle of their off-season, and they were doing some stuff to, build their general athletic development, do sprints, jumps, throws, things that they ordinarily wouldn't do. But they're only doing it one time a week, so not a lot. Still weightlifting, still building strength.
It makes me think because we're lucky that our off seasons kind of line up. So next year, No to Fit people, we're going to be preparing for these.
Totally, we're doing that. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, in the No to, because each of our teams has their own individual chat. Our No to Fit team has definitely been chirping to get ready for next year.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we're coming for blood next year.
Okay, let's go, baby. All right, that's awesome. So now I'll be able to line up those annual plans. That's amazing. But that's part of our approach. I know there's a lot of gyms that have different annual plans or different philosophies. Ours is, we want people to stay healthy. In everything, have longevity in our sport, but in their life. And what I notice is programs that had people, or in my time as a coach, athletes who never shift gears into an off-season training plan tend to not lift very long. I'll never forget it. I had a really talented athlete, somebody who definitely, I think, did qualify for nationals, in a relatively short amount of time, and probably should have gone on to be probably an A-session, level lifter, who, after, a year of really rapid progress and improvement on our training plan, ended up using a outside training plan. And this isn't to denigrate those other training plans. I think that they all have their place, and there's a lot of people. We're not the only ones programming weightlifting. Amazingly, there's many, many other teams out there. But, having the context and the perspective to take an off-season period of time instead of just plugging in X special 8-week program that X famous athlete did. I don't even believe that they survived that training plan. They didn't make it to the end of it before they were done with weightlifting. So cautionary tale to everyone out there. I'm gonna harp on this every opportunity I get. You need an off season, unless you're literally trying to go to the Olympics. And even I know those athletes and how they train. They have, maybe their off season doesn't look like ours, but they do have one at some point.
That's mental and physical too. You're going to need the break.
Yeah, it's probably more psychological than it is physiological, actually. But so if you are not going to the Olympics, or let me rephrase that: if you are not actively in the process of going to the Olympics, so right now,
this quad
have a real opportunity at doing it, you shouldn't be training like those athletes. That should be easy to say, but you should be having an off season. You shouldn't be skipping the opportunity to work on general fitness qualities, keeping your body healthy, giving yourself a psychological break. We have some people that only want to train weightlifting, and that's what they do. They like to do it. It's their favorite way to, stay physically active. And we're not trying to say that we like those people.
That's great.
I want you to come here and do weightlifting.
That's literally who we target when we're marketing. That's the people we're trying to get.
Absolutely. If you're into weightlifting, please come to Charlotte's Right. But we want you to go as far as you can. The game of weightlifting is a long game. It actually is a marathon, despite the fact that we hate marathons. You have to stay in a long time to train to get as far as you can to reach your goals. And if you are skipping parts of your development, you're not taking breaks, you will never get there. You will actually burn out. So if you want to burn out of weightlifting, only do weightlifting all the time.
Yeah, that sounds not fun. I want to keep doing what I enjoy.
So that's how our combine went, and that's our little rant on our team training plan.
One final shout out on the combine to Houston, of course, because when he said he had the dashboard for it, I thought it was going to be we typed this in and then we got to do it, calculate. No, he literally had it set up where we each had our own station. We're entering our numbers, and the dashboard completely updated for top. Had a scoreboard for each station, male, female. It updated the overall leaderboard for male, female. Updated the team leaderboard. So I don't know how many hours he put into creating that dashboard, but it was very well done.
Shout out to Coach Houston for enabling us to have live scoring updates.
Yeah, that was
basically.
Really cool.
I mean, we're really lucky that we have our force plates. We have a dasher laser timing gate system. So all of our times were done with lasers. They weren't hand timed, so they're about as legit as you can get without going to a track meet. We did the same on our 5-10-5.
Yep.
A bench press is just with weights. We're able to bring some of our tech and into the testing of the combine and give everybody that opportunity to feel like a pro athlete.
Takes that human error out of it, which was really cool to see.
Yeah. So great job, Houston. And then we ended that day with our 5-year anniversary party.
Yeah, that we went over to Culinary Dropout. We rented out some space. We had 65 people. I think that's what we were capped at. Had an enjoyable dinner. Food was good. People were better.
People were better.
Yeah, it was a good opportunity to have everyone together, not in gym clothes, and talk about what we've done for the past 5 years and even longer.
Yeah, it was really, thank you everybody who got dressed up. I know it was like, you think I like fucking getting dressed up? No.
We got so many messages of like, what does cocktail attire mean?
I don't know. I learned that word like the week before. So
like, that sounds right.
Yeah. I made Harley wear a dress.
Yeah.
I was super pumped about that.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, thank you everybody for being a part of that, who was able to show up. And thank you to everybody, honestly, just to put a stamp on it, who's been a part of Charlotte Strength or Heavy Metal for the period of time before that and allow us to be where we are today, wasting time, making a podcast, pretending like we're important, so.
Yeah. It literally gives us the most fun jobs I could think of. So
yeah, it absolutely is. All right.
You go into what you're doing for national preparation? Because I know, what are we, 2 weeks out from nationals?
Yeah, I guess so. We're just over. I mean, honestly, it starts in under because we have the youth nationals, but we'll be leaving in just under 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Colorado.
Uh-huh. So national team is in the middle of going heavy every week, with varying results of success or varying degrees of success for sure. It's an interesting time.
But if they're feeling bad, that means they're going to feel good.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be honest. You definitely want to hit like everything. You want everything to go right. You want to feel good. You want to psychologically feel like you're ready to go. You definitely don't want to be held back by like anything physical, like an injury, something like that, or just to have the bad days. Like that would be ideal. No one's going to disagree. But I will say, I've had it go that way and then it not go well at the meet.
Right.
Either. That totally happened. I think that happened literally last year. To like put Harley under the microscope. I think we had about as good a prep. It's such a good prep that I still go back. I look at it, it's like, okay, well, what did we do well? Like, what about this period like enabled her to feel that good? And we've actually I made like one change this go around, but for the most part, it's kind of the same prep, pretty much.
The results
and it's going very differently.
So if it went good, that means it's not going great. Right
yeah,
now.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I've had a prep, the famous one that I'll always point out is Taylor's like 2019 Nationals prep, where literally no lifts from the floor, no full lifts, no squats for, at least 2 weeks before, maybe 4 weeks before, like all kinds of modifications, all kinds of pain management, shows up, PR total, silver, all that kind of stuff, and is fighting. And that's a testament to just the athlete that she is, like the mentality that she put into it. And then I guess, to us in our relationship, like managing it and getting ahead of it before it got worse, and like maintaining her fitness and her ability to try hard at things without causing, more pain.
Yeah.
I think last year Harley and I did a really good job of that. Also going into AO finals, we definitely didn't get the result we wanted, but I think we did probably better than we deserved to do, considering like the injury that we had before that. So all that to say, like peaking is like such an unpredictable time because you can like stack all the pieces that you have of like perfect training leading up to that and hit every single metric that you think, and then all of a sudden you just feel bad.
Yeah.
And it's like a not good time to feel bad. But you can feel bad and still do really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can go either way. You just gotta. I think the most important thing, as long as you actually did train hard, like you'll see, you have people who like they're gonna do bad because they didn't train hard, they didn't prepare well, they didn't put in the work. The people who put in the work, even if they have bad moments of struggle, can fall back on that. So it's really just your mind that's the most powerful thing.
That was going to be my question, is how much does that play into it? Because there's so many things that are outside of your control. You're training in a new place. You've just traveled, more than likely. You're sleeping somewhere that's not home. You're lifting at a different time. And yes, if they're at that level, they've done it a good number of times. But like, how much does the mental preparedness?
It's entirely mental. Like I spoke with, I'm not going to name, what's that called? Name drop.
Name drop.
There we go. I'm not going to name drop a coach, but a very, very high level coach with very high level athletes who was tracking a lot of metrics. And so physiologically, everything in his data process was green. You know, it was like, oh, they're ready to go. They're hitting all kinds of PRs. They were, doing jump tests and monitoring. And it's like, yeah, they're ready to go. And they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't PR in the meet. And it was largely because mentally, when they went out there and did their performance, they didn't do a very good job of staying focused and being confident. So I'd say it's like, basically, if there's definitely that physical piece, but in that moment, yeah, it's all about your mentality and how you're managing your peak, because people tend to get scared when things don't go exactly right every time, and they can snowball, into like kind of spiral into a bad place.
Yep.
And so you can shut that down and come in fresh every day and just believe in yourself. I think it's probably the most important thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think am I allowed to say I'm still new to weightlifting? I've been, helping out with for 4 or 5 years now, but I still feel new to weightlifting. But you and Taylor specifically, like seeing y'all in back rooms, it's like, oh, they're not being pushed around by anything, people, the atmosphere, nothing. Like y'all bring an aura to the back room of like, hey, this is my space, and yes, I'm Sean Rigsby, and I haven't trained in 6 months, but I'm still gonna take silver because Kane's in the same session. He's the only one that's gonna beat me.
Yeah, you have to be delusional for sure. I thought that when I did train and lifted, I competed against Kane in his prime, in my prime, and that didn't go very well for me. But every time I stepped into the meet or the back room, there were many people. Like basically the last nationals before my injury kind of made me no longer progress. There were many people in that room and who not only did beat me that day, but should have beat me, many more. But walking in there, I was like, I'm going to beat all of you. Yeah. Every single one of you. I was literally walking around. It was not to like pump myself up, but it's similar to like a Muhammad Ali approach. Mm-hmm. Like you're going and you're like kind of talking trash and you have that sort of swagger. It's like, yeah, you guys shouldn't even show up today. I was telling them that. I was like, you guys should go home. Like, it's over. That's it.
Did you tell Kane that?
I didn't tell Kane that. I did not, because that's just patently false. But some of the other ones, and I came in fourth that day. I was one lift away. Like I put it on the bar, spit me out in the clean from taking third, and it would have been some sort of ridiculous PR. Probably like it was already a big PR, like 20 kilo total PR or something. So that mindset just allows you to do things that maybe ordinarily weren't possible, or that you probably had no business doing.
Yeah, I've shared it a few times, like in the group chats, and you told it to me once. It stuck with me. It was like, you live in a world where misses don't happen, and you can tell you actually mean that. Like no matter how much pain you're in from your injury, it's like I'm gonna make this lift.
No, I don't. I'm not saying that as like, I don't know, kitschy bullshit. Yeah, I was like, you make a choice that the world that I live in, misses don't exist, and that doesn't mean that like everything will be easy. You're going to do everything you can to make it so. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to not miss. Yeah. I'm going to get this done. There are no excuses no matter what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And then even when athletes get in that mindset and they do miss, they should be shocked.
Right.
Because it's like not cataclysmic and that they start falling apart. It's like, well, that doesn't happen. This is impossible. So it definitely won't happen again,
right,
is what I'm getting at, because that is such an aberration, because in this world there is no saying that must have just been some weird other reality that existed. So
that keeps it from happening again.
Yeah. And not everybody needs to do it the way Taylor and I do it, for sure. We're really, really intense is the polite way of putting it.
Can I tell the story from what was the big national meet? Was it it was Masters Nationals that we were just at a couple months ago, when Taylor's back room? I guess you weren't there because you were on.
I was getting ready.
You were getting ready to lift. So Taylor was like, how when Taylor becomes Taylor in the back room, like she owns that room. She's singing, she's dancing. She may be telling people to go home, just throwing up the bird here and there, but being herself, having fun. There was a girl behind her who just shook her head and was like, "What's going on here?" I was like,
"Oh yeah, yeah." I was like shook her head like disappointingly. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, you've already lost. Like, you should go home." And she just didn't know like this is how Taylor is, but like, that moment was too big for this individual because like someone who is prepared, who has that mindset, is owning that room.
Yeah, it's in complete control, and even if somebody was going to threaten, it's like, no, I'm gonna take over. So, really, really important. Like, I think something I'm going to talk about in the final weeks with our athletes is this exact thing. Is like, let's talk about our approach and our mentality on the day of, and we'll do numbers things. We'll talk about the numbers and the range we're trying to do. I'm going to look at, what they probably need to do to medal and like their competition and things like that. But really, I just want to focus on them. Always instead of like really focusing on what other people are doing in competition, like us as coaches need to manage it and be aware. But you should really only be doing like watching your athlete so much and knowing their ability to get every last squeeze of juice out of their performance. And so I see a lot of people that are like, oh, well, we got to do this in order to make X happen. It's like, well, does your athlete have business doing that?
Right.
Are they in a place to do that? Did they prepare to do that? Right. Sort of thing. Or are they flexible enough? If they are, that's great. But really focusing on them and what that they can do and help them to get done. And if that ends up being, qualifying for a team or winning the medal, great. But like, do that first because it doesn't matter, if you haven't done the reps in. So we'll talk, I think, about that mentality piece going in now that this prep for them has been a struggle, and we'll kind of revisit all of the things they did accomplish. Many of them, we call them process goals. Really, they're like stepping stone outcome goals, and almost all of them have hit everything that we believe builds the pieces of a great performance. And so reminding them of that is important.
That's good. So even if like some of their training hasn't been going according to plan, they still have hit a lot of process goals along the way. So they are pretty ready.
Yeah, they've done many, many things that a lifter trying to do their goals would be doing.
Yes.
So we've already kind of ticked those boxes. So it can be easy to forget that. Sometimes people linger on like the bad training and the stuff that's been really, really close and forget that they've, I don't know, tripled 96. Or it was only 92 and then doubled 96, or was it 97? Okay. All right. Well, I just asked her since of that. Harley's actually done a good job and has in the past done a really good job of keeping this mindset. So I'm just picking on her a little bit, but some other folks who like this is a really common trope. So try to remember all the work you did, because you don't undo all of your work in one or even a few bad workouts. Absolutely not. You're still the same capable lifter. We just have to turn it around.
Yep. And they're all capable of it.
Yep.
Well, we're excited. I'm excited. I always love going.
Yeah,
to these
we're
meets,
going.
So
we're going. You, me, Taylor, or the coach and staff.
Let's go. We got this. Right. We're going to shine. Nice. You want to move on to what's next for the gym?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and just wrap it up for those who have even listened this far.
Oh, there's no, like, when we go review, like, how far percentage, it's all going to be 100%. I know Frank's made it this far. Frank's still listening.
Shout out to you, Frank.
He's the best.
That's kind of how things are going to go from now on. Maybe we'll get better at this. I hope we get better at this.
I feel like this has been pretty good.
I hope we do it. How about that?
That's one a week. Once a week we will do this.
So I hope we do it. But just some gym business. Mostly, if you are listening to this and you have friends or something like that, or if you want to know things that we're working on, we're hiring for a sports performance coach right now to launch our Speed Lab program. Speed Lab is kind of a chain of affiliates who focus on linear speed and power output. So helping athletes get better at just being faster, changing direction faster, jumping higher, jumping farther. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Right. It sounds like fun things.
Right. So we did maybe not as many interviews as we were supposed to do yesterday, but a lot of them.
No, we still had 4. We sat down with 4 individuals.
Yeah, and I think we have 4 more just for that role coming up. So we're going through our interview process right now, and we think we found some good candidates that hopefully will be joining our team and like launching this program. So if you're in the Charlotte area, maybe if you don't go here and you do listen for whatever reason to us talk for this long, and you have some athletes, some youth athletes of your own that would be interested in these things.
Yeah, I think like we haven't talked a ton about it, but I do feel like it's not just for kids. I know there's going to be a high interest in like kids who are developing their skills, who are going to want to be interested in this program. But this is going to be a great adult program too, because like if you enjoy the process of doing those things, running faster, being more explosive, like this is going to be a great way to do that, and it's going to be a lot of like measurable things, and you're going to see your progress.
Yeah, that's totally true. So, get ready to hear a lot about that from us, because that's going to be what's going on.
Are we going to call it Speed Lab, or do we get to brand it as our own name?
I guess we'll have to decide that.
Okay. Do you think whoever gets this job, do they get like 75% vote on what it is?
No.
We get the vote.
Yeah, it's definitely 100% my decision.
I get no say.
You get a say, but like most things around here,
you get the final.
That's true. Yeah. It's only if I don't like it. How about that?
And so this is also to point out when you ask why things haven't happened, is because Sean has not given his stamp of approval yet.
Yeah, that's probably true. I try to delegate.
You do.
I try.
You don't do a good job of allowing autonomy.
All right. Well, I'll try to do better about that. Which is funny because it's something I actually do well in my USA weightlifting job. Anyway, so the other role that we're hiring for is we're looking for personal trainers and Notifit coaches, somebody a little bit of dual role. I don't know that we offer the absolute top dollar, most amount compensation in the city, but it's definitely probably one of the best splits in the city.
Yeah.
With the most support, and then like a steady pool of clients, of members who are coming in that like doing personal training.
I think it's very easy to say that the pay is very competitive.
Yes.
For the market.
Above market standards.
Yeah. 100%.
I would absolutely say that. Yeah.
And then also a lot of autonomy, even though I said you don't give that, but within this role of like, hey, you are designing the program for your athletes. You are like choosing your hours you get to work. But if you're a contractor, that's legally what you get to do anyways. But like we support that, and I do think it's a great place to, and a ton of equipment. Like we have the force plates, we have a weightlifting side, we have a strength and conditioning side, we have a functional fitness side, we have a 40-yard turf. So like, they can train their athletes however they want to. Yeah,
and also from a development standpoint, if you are passionate about, like, if you really want to be the best coach or trainer you could possibly be, this is the place to do it in this city. I have no qualms about saying that. We have the highest standards. And so you got to be good. You want to work here, you better be good. So we are looking for somebody. If you think you're that good, give us a call. Let us know. We're doing interviews for that one next week also.
Yep. Hopefully
so we can have these team members, because you and I are too busy. We're too busy doing podcasts. Can't be coaching people.
What if we get to where you and I just never coach and we just do silly things like
No, that's the worst. The only thing I enjoy doing is coaching my girls. And like stepping, and then also like a good Saturday morning where it's like a good mix of everybody.
Saturdays are the best when everyone's just like, they didn't have to work that day, or they don't have to go to work, so they're in a good mood. They got a concert or something fun to go to that night, and they just get after it. Yeah,
it's that I do everything else just so I can do those things. Basically, is how it goes. All right, I'll finish on like a sad thing.
Don't finish sad.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about it. Like, I like enjoy it more because I'm gone a lot. You know, so I'm really thankful when I'm here to get to coach them, because like every session is one fewer session that they'll be in my life.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. Like some of them, it's not the case, but like we have some who are like, there is a end date for what they're going to do this. So like it makes me value it so much more because it's like the thing I really love, and I don't want it to go away. So it's like, nope, I'm going to try to do my best because like this is just one less opportunity I get to have this. So
that is really sad.
Yeah, sorry. I was gonna add sorry to bring it down.
I was gonna add to it, but I don't want to make it more sad.
No, it's not. But it makes it more special. Like it never makes it like hard or like oh, I have to do this or anything like that. Yeah. Like no, it's like my favorite thing to do.
That's a good perspective though, because you do cherish those moments now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So thank you to our gym, to our members for giving me the best job in the world, and you the best job in the world.
Yes, we are very thankful. I get to walk here. I get to bring Bruno here. I get to hang out with y'all. Pretty cool.
So, all right, we'll end it there. Harley will edit out all the bad parts, and we'll see how this goes.
Yep, be posted by tomorrow by 3 p.m.
See you next time on the Training Partners Podcast. We need a tagline.